Hello and welcome to another episode of the SEGA News Bits. I'm your host George, and with me, like always, is Barry.
Hello.
And we're recording this on April 1st, but we don't have any jokes for you because today we're going to be talking about how SEGA has announced the SEGA Genesis Mini. And if you guys haven't been keeping up with the news, we've done several videos. They'll probably be linked in the card up above. But basically, SEGA took away the licensing, or I don't know if they took away the licensing, but they're doing this one in-house. So me and Barry have been very excited about this, and they announced it finally at SEGA Fest 2019. We thought there's so much info, we should have done it, you know, its own video. We have another episode where we have the rest of the SEGA Fest news. But basically, the emulation has always been a big issue on the at-game systems, and finally, SEGA's allowing M2 to do this. So who is M2? M2 are the people that did the SEGA Ages re-releases, and they've been doing the WiiWare Nintendo stuff for the Super Nintendo and the regular Nintendo systems. So they have a lot of experience bringing these types of, you know, emulations that sound not identical, but good enough that most people can notice the difference to original hardware. So that's good. We also have SEGA legend Yuzo Koshiro doing the main theme for this, which, if you guys don't know, he did Streets of Rage soundtrack, which is in the legacy. It's one of the, you know, most popular soundtracks in video game history. And okay, so the differences between regions, and really the differences are between the West and Japan. Japan is going to get a six button controller. We're getting 3, which is obviously a downgrade. Nobody's suggesting that. We're also going to get 1 SQ, which meaning it's $80 for 2 controllers. In Japan, they have a cheaper option with 1 controller. And these are the games we're getting in the West: Echo the Dolphin, Castlevania Bloodlines, Space Harrier 2, Shining Force, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, ToeJam and Earl, Comic Zone, Sonic the Hedgehog, Altered Beast, Gunstar Heroes, and out of those, 5 of them are actually region exclusive, which is Echo the Dolphin, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which is technically Puyo Puyo 1, but Japan's not getting Puyo Puyo 1, so it's exclusive. ToeJam and Earl, Sonic the Hedgehog 1, and Altered Beast. Japan exclusives are Wrestle Ball, Rent a Hero, Puyo Puyo 2, and Madaio Monogatari, which is a dungeon crawling Japanese RPG based on Puyo Puyo characters before Puyo Puyo was invented. And obviously Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which we got 1 in America. Let's talk about the lineup, and what do you think about us getting Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and Japan getting 2? Isn't that kind of weird?
Well, yeah, but then again, I have to wonder if this is just a marketing thing, like they're revealing some different games in different regions, but in the end we're going to get 1 and 2. I cannot see them not including 1 and 2. Of course, 3 and Knuckles are probably not going to be included, which sucks, but I guess we're going to have to deal with that from now on, that we're never getting those games on anything. Because you have to remember, the Genesis box that we're going to be seeing in stores, and the Mega Drive European box, they had Sonic the Hedgehog as a pack-in title back in the day. Yeah. Sonic 2 was not a pack-in title with this model, so it makes sense.
Yeah, and you could tell that they're doing that because, I mean, we got Altered Beast as an exclusive, and that's a very Western-focused title. Like, Japan doesn't have the nostalgia we have over here.
Yeah.
So you could tell by that. I do agree with you. I think we're going to get Sonic 2. What do you think about ToeJam and Earl, Altered Beast, and maybe, like, them doing the Dr. Robotnik versions instead of the Puyo Puyo? Do you think it's time for us just to get the Puyo Puyo ones, or an option at least in it?
I feel like that's a thing for SEGA Ages to do. I think that's where they dip into the obscure stuff, the stuff that never got American releases or Western releases. I don't think the plug and play is a place to, like... I mean, I'd love to see it, but when it's like a Genesis branded console, I don't see why they would include non-Genesis games.
Okay. And the thing a lot of people, or at least the number one complaint I've been seeing, and I've been seeing it a lot on Twitter, like they just pop up the trolls right on the bottom when SEGA was tweeting about this, the lack of 6-button controller. And a lot of people are considering this a deal breaker. To me, it's not a deal breaker, but it is a stain in what could have been a like almost flawless release in America.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, a lot of these games, the only game on here on the list of the US games that we have that are affected by the not having the 6-button controller is Comic Zone, because you can switch items way easier. So it does limit what we can do on this console, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
at
for
least
sure.
the choices of games, we can't get Street Fighter. It's kind of annoying to play that. But what do you think about the change?
I think it's annoying. I mean, they're trying to stay true to the original launch model, but like, there's a point where it's like you're holding back a better controller, and also I think it's their attempt to get us to buy the Retrobit 6-button, you know?
Yeah. And I don't think a lot of mainstream gamers would know that. It would have been cool if they did a kind of a more budget Retrobit controller, because they have one that's like $8 on their site, right?
Yeah.
Pack those in, and then like have an ad within the box, right? That you could go on Retrobit site to get the more high-end ones. I think they would sell more units that way. With like, you know, instead of the cord, you could get a Bluetooth one. That would have sold it, I thought, for a lot of people that don't know the company yet.
Absolutely.
Anything else that like stood out to you that people complained about? Like, I thought it had a lot of cool things. I've been looking at people doing hands-on on our feed, people that I trust that are very picky like we are about hardware. They said that it didn't feel that much any different that they could see when they played it live at Sega Fest. There was also people kind of praising the hardware, like little things about how you could take out the back, like where the Sega CD drive is at, like little details. And I think that's what I think that to fans is a lot more a bigger deal to fans, like the little details. I don't know, does this have a headphone jack?
That's a good question. I have not seen that confirmed. I feel like it's probably not going to. It would be cute, but I think that extra functionality would probably add a little money to the final build.
And Sega of Europe was asked, what does this collection, like, how do you differ this collection from the one they just released on the Sega Genesis, I mean on the Sega Genesis collection on the PS4, Switch, Xbox One? They had like, what, 50 games for $30 or something, so it's like a huge deal.
Yeah.
So people are like, what does this have to offer that doesn't? And they said this is going to have third-party games. That's something that they haven't done in a collection like that. And the first one they've shown was Castlevania Bloodlines, which surprised me. But what do you think about the third party? Do you think that's a good enough reason to buy it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we're going to have Castlevania Bloodlines, that opens us up to getting Contra Hard Corps, Rocket Knight Adventures, Sunset Riders, so that alone would be great. And then if Capcom gets in on it, and maybe even they can get some Disney licenses, like,
yeah,
you know.
I agree. We were talking before we did this. I said, pick 5 games you want to come to the Sega Genesis Mini or Mega Drive Mini. There has to be no reason that, like, it's for us. It's just games we want. It has nothing to do with they're popular. A lot of people will buy them. Nerd games that we like. I'll let you do the first one. We'll interchange.
Okay. I would say I want to see Quackshot.
And why is that?
I just think it's a fantastic platformer, and because of the Disney license, it really hasn't gotten a lot of play. It's always second to the Castle of Illusion games, and to be honest, I think it's a superior game.
I almost put it on my list, but I knew you were going to say it because of your history with Donald Duck.
Yeah.
I did put as my first one Contra Hard Corps, and you mentioned it. I just think it's a great co-op game. Konami's on it. I think Konami did some solid games on the Sega Genesis. They kind of went under the radar. They did a lot of games that were kind of like the Super Nintendo versions, but I felt like their Super Nintendo version got all the attention, and the Sega Genesis versions went under the radar. Hard Corps is one of those.
For sure. I would pick, I mentioned it earlier, Rocket Knight Adventures. It's a game I never owned, but I rented, and I thought it was fantastic. And I feel, again, it's an underrated game. I know they had that semi-sequel, Sparkster, and people deserve to play the original. It's a really great game.
My next one is Mega Man Wily Wars. This is just the remake of the first 3 on the Sega Genesis, but I thought it was such a cool release when it was... I never got to play it, but I remember looking at it when I was a kid. I just saw it on magazines. I think it was one of the Sega channels exclusives that a lot of people in the US didn't get to play, so it'd be cool to have a Capcom hop up board and do this version on it with 3 games in one. Thank you very much. So your next one?
I'm gonna pick one I usually wouldn't pick. Mortal Kombat, I think, would be cool, just because I feel like a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for it, and to see that on the collection would probably sell some units. I know it's supposed to be my personal, but I'd pick it up because I don't own the original. So
the next one I'm doing is Alien Soldier, another Sega Channel exclusive in the US that didn't get wide release. This was like a special project for Treasure. It's very much like a boss rush mode because there's more bosses, I think, than there are levels. So it's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of like Cuphead. I think every time I think of Cuphead, I always think like they had to be influenced by this game. So I added that.
I'm gonna pick another licensed one. I'm gonna say Ghostbusters, which was developed by Compile. I very much doubt this will be on it, but again, it's one of those games that people don't really think about because they're so used to the shitty Nintendo versions, and this is a completely different one. It's an action platformer. They've got big heads, little bodies. They kind of look like Puyo Puyo characters, actually. So yeah, that would be my pick.
And my other pick is Musha because it's rare. I'm not paying that much money for it. It would be nice to be like, hey guys, like when they announced the game, right? Sega on their Twitter, make a trailer about like the skyrocketed prices. Like what a bargain! You get it in this collection. That'd be great. It would go. I bet people would retweet that.
That would be cool. I guess I would probably go with a rare one too. Yeah, you picked a few. I know Splatterhouse 2 is very expensive, and that's a Namco game. Maybe Truxton.
Truxton, yeah, those are my last one, I guess. I put Rocket Knight Adventures, but you put it in there, so I changed it. I put Pulseman because like it's another Sega Channel. I didn't want to put it in there because I feel like I put like 3 Sega Channel exclusives, and people were like, you really want those Sega Channel games? Yes, I do want them. But Pulseman is another one. The Sega Channel had a good lineup.
Yeah, I never played them, so I'd love to see those included for sure.
So that's our video on the Sega Genesis Mini. What do you guys think about the price, the 3-button controller, the lineup so far? We're gonna get 40 games. That's $2 a piece. Equals $80. That's a pretty good price. And what do you guys want in it that would make you guys happy? It doesn't have to be logical. Just let us know in the comments below.
Bye.
Bye.